people don't realize this. When it comes to tax law, they just say, oh, this is how most people do it. And they just assume that that's just how it is. There's no other ways to get money in there. There are. You just need to be aware of them. Welcome to the Retire on Time podcast, a show that's all about not oversimplified advice, but the nitty gritty. We want to get into the details here and not gloss over the general idea of retirement. So get your pencils ready. Let's dive in. As always, remember, this is just a show. It's not financial advice. So please consider everything we say with a grain of salt. But you can always text your questions to 913-363-1234, and we'll feature them on the show. David, what do we got today?
Hey, Mike, are 529 plans the best way to fund grandkids' education?
Best is a very subjective matter of opinion, kind of, inference there.
Yes.
But it is a good way for some people.
All right.
I like that.
It's a good way.
I should be a politician.
Yeah. A good way for some people. You could just put that on almost anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 529s are nice in that you can put money into the account. The account can grow tax-free, so it's not disrupting your taxable situation.
All right.
So these are typically brokerage account funds. You might say, well, I'm going to grow my assets and then I'll pay the kids college. Well, when you sell your assets, you're going to pay capital gains. As you're trying to grow it, you might pay capital gains along the way. What if you just put it into a 529 plan and then let it grow there, and it almost shields you from any tax situations? It grows tax-free. It pays qualified costs or expenses tax-free. It's kind of a nice bit there. And if you don't use it, or if the beneficiary of the 529 doesn't use it, it's somewhere around $30,000 can be converted into a Roth IRA for that beneficiary for the retirement. So that's kind of a nice end of concept, end of 529 plan concept. A couple of nuances to look at. Not all 529 plans are the same.
Oh.
Every state has a different 529. Some states will only allow you to fund it if you live in the state. Others, they don't care where you live. You're just going to fund it under their plan.
Yeah, so who owns the actual plan?
I mean, it's controlled by the state, but you would own it.
Okay, so so whoever's starting it, and initiating it and putting the cash in, they own it. So grandma or grandpa owns the account.
No, it's the beneficiary.
Beneficiary does own it.
Beneficiary.
Okay.
So, but people can fund the account.
I
so
see.
grandma can fund it. There are, so the funding. This is a common misconception.
All right.
So, thank you for bringing that up.
All right.
Funding a plan has limitations mostly centered around the gift tax limit. So every year, there's only so much money you can put in before you have to pay a tax on the gift, because money going into a 529 is considered a gift.
And this is like a federal IRS rule.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now put that on a pedestal here for a second.
In my back pocket.
The 529 plans have a kind of a workaround that you can overfund it. So you basically put 5 years of funding up front, so it kind of gets more money in there, so you can grow at a faster rate, or not a faster rate, but you'd rather get all the money in there and let it grow than having to kind of dollar cost average in. So if the markets are just going up, it's better to put all the money in up front. If the markets are going down, it'd be better to dollar cost average in there. But whatever.
Yeah.
You can overfund it. There's a form that you'd fill out just declaring that you did it, so you're not taxed on the gifts.
Okay.
Now, that said, and this can change, so this is why you always check with someone who understands tax law. Okay. You could overfund it and not care about this 5-year rule workaround, but just gift more, because a 529 plan has a maximum amount that can go into a 529 plan. But instead of it being a gift tax limit, or it being the 5-year funding, you can do a Form 709 of the IRS code, where you're basically gifting to the 529 plan part of your estate exemption limit, which is like $12 million. So if you want to give, and again, you check tax code in your state if there's any nuance with the state. Do not take this as blanket statement advice here. These are interesting points to ask questions about.
All right.
You could just overfund it, fill out Form 709, and you're done in 1 year if you wanted to. So if you're grandparents and you want to overfund it, great. That's kind of a cool way. People don't realize this. when it comes to tax law, they just say, oh, this is how most people do it, and they just assume that that's just how it is. There's no other ways to get money in there. There are. You just need to be aware of them. Okay. So now the problem with overfunding a 529 plan is if they don't use it, then you're taxed 10% on what's not used, and it's kind of a crappy situation to get out. You could change the beneficiary to someone else, and then they could use it. It gets kind of sticky. So do you want to put $500,000, which is kind of the limit, into a 529 plan? Probably not.
Okay.
But if you want to overfund it or fund it quickly or something like that, there are several ways you could go about doing that. Most people will just slowly fund it because you got 18 years before the kid's going to college, unless you're some savant and you're going to Harvard at 16 or something. I shouldn't say Harvard's like politically triggering for some people. What's a good safe? Kansas State.
There you go.
That's a safe school. Or KU, another safe school, two-grade school.
Very good. Love those.
Local plug.
Yeah. Love those schools.
That haven't made the national attention as of late, so I think we're okay there.
Yes.
But anyway. Now, that's the traditional kind of general way that you would fund someone's education. My heartache with it is that it's what you can spend on is controlled.
By who?
Well, the rules,
right?
Yeah. So you can have like these expenses, but not those expenses, right? And if your child does the traditional educational route, probably fine, probably not a big deal. Maybe I'm just being overly cautious here. Okay. Before I actually continue, one last thing on 529 plans. Shop around. The states that allow anyone to put their money in there, look at their investment options. Some 529 plans will have arbitrary, you pick a portfolio and are very conservative, very steady Eddie, kind of boring in my opinion. And other ones will say, here's the different ETFs basically you can pick from, or the different funds. It's not just like a basic ETF you can buy. They're special versions of the ETF. So they work for a 529 plan, but it's basically like you could buy the S&P 500 or something like that. So I would, find your favorite AI or Google search and compare plans to the state of Nebraska.
Oh, our neighbors.
Personally, Nebraska is my favorite.
Oh, okay.
And the reason is low cost, easy. They have 2 different versions of plans, so 2 different custodians that you could sign up with. And you could just put it all in the S&P 500 if you wanted to. Now, that's kind of a riskier move if you consider like your kid's going to be in school in 5 years from now.
Okay.
But if you got 18 years, that might not be that bad of a deal. And then there's other funds that you could manage it as well. But you're able to rebalance the portfolio, I believe, a couple of times a year. Check the documents to make sure that this isn't outdated information. But hey, Nebraska, it's my favorite 529 plan because it doesn't force you into an arbitrary portfolio. If you kind of know what you're doing, at least a little bit, you can get more aggressive trying to grow the asset. Shop around. That's the point. Now,
shop around.
If you wanted to take a different route, you could do trusts. So you put money into a irrevocable trust that's for the grandchild. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but you set the rules on how they can use it, how they can't use it. But it allows you to define things as you want them to be. So it might be, talk to an attorney about this. We're not attorneys, but it might be, hey, it works for education, and if it doesn't work for education, then after education, maybe they can use it for a down payment on their house, up to so much in here. Maybe it helps with their retirement. Maybe it's their emergency fund. Maybe we're going to use this to pay for their term life insurance. Maybe they can use it for their kids. You can define how you want the money to be used and restrict them so they're not, trust fund kids.
Okay.
But it helps buffer them in a time that's affordability is more and more difficult for the younger people. I know people hate about that complaint. It is a factual statement that it is more difficult to live the traditional American dream today than ever before. Now, does that mean that they should act like victims? No. We acknowledge reality as it is, and you adjust your strategy to then overcome it.
That sounds fair.
Okay? So you can't expect to work at a grocery store or in retail and get paid as if you're a tech developer.
Yeah.
It's just a different world. There are greater divisions based on your career path that you take.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean everyone needs to be a tech developer. It means you need to be smart about the decisions you make in your career path, or who you marry and it's their career path if you want to be a trad family.
Mm,
Was that, did I say that the right way? The trad family?
I think
Or
so.
the nuclear family, as I
Yeah.
was told in school.
Right, right.
Um,
And so if the trust is irrevocable, that means it can't be changed later, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And so you as the person who's
I
starting
mean,
the
maybe you
trust.
do a revocable trust and then later it becomes irrevocable. This is why
Yeah.
you consult an attorney.
Okay, yeah.
Different laws, different states.
Yeah.
We're not attorneys, not giving legal advice, but a trust allows you to. Well, let me tell a story. You want to hear a
Okay.
story?
I love a good story.
So, a friend of mine, really, a good high school friend. I hung out with that family all the time in high school. This is, 20 some years ago or
All
whatever.
right.
20 years ago? No. Anyway,
Some number
Um,
of decades ago.
around the year of 2000,
Okay, yeah, I remember that year.
when we figured out that computers weren't going to go berserk
Yeah.
because the dates clicked
On
over.
January 1st,
Do you remember
2000.
that?
I do remember that. Yeah.
That was
Everyone was scared.
So good friends of mine throughout high school, and she was the youngest daughter of the family. So I hung out with them all the time. It was a great time. Parents were just wonderful people, and we were just chatting once at dinner. I was over there visiting, and they were talking about how the oldest daughter all the kids had trusts. The oldest daughter had a trust and came in and said, "I want my money," and the dad says, "Well, hold on,
Yeah.
you know." Not that simple. What are you going to use it for? She says, "Well, it's my money. I can do what I want." He says, "No, it's not," and pulls the document out, says, and explained what the money was for. See, the eldest daughter wanted to run away with her boyfriend and be a beach bum.
Oh.
And there was reasonable amount of money. They could probably do it for a couple of years and be very comfortable.
Uh-huh.
Said, "Nope, that's not how it works. You don't get the money unless these things were met."
Okay.
And thank goodness that document was there. The relationship, yeah, they went off or whatever. I think they were beach bums for like a month or something. I don't remember exactly, but they eventually broke up. It didn't work out. She then, there wasn't anything weird about the relationship. This is a very normal, your early 20s, you have a rebellious bone in you.
Mm.
So she eventually goes back to school, finishes college, marries this incredible guy. They both have incredible careers, have an incredible family, all is well, right?
Yeah.
The document protected her from making dumb decisions before your brain is even developed.
Yeah.
Right? Who expects anyone 25 or younger to make a smart decision? We make smart decisions, but your brain isn't even fully developed. It's insane what we let anyone do. Anyway, so that's the point of the trust. So that's one option. You can just ignore the 529 and set up your own version of it. The last one, which is what I like, is to use life insurance for this. Now, hear me out.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know how cheap life insurance is for a 2-year-old?
I can imagine that it is.
They're not concerned about death anytime soon.
Yeah, no.
So the cost of insurance, if you shop right, the cost of insurance is very, very low. If the cost of insurance is low, then your cash value has more growth potential. Now, in IULs, for example, Index Universal Life, you would have you still have to fund it over a certain period of time. So for me, it's like, okay, 15 years, start them at 3, they go to 18 years old. I own the policy,
Mm-hmm.
or you would own the policy, okay? They're the beneficiary of it.
Okay.
You with me so far?
Yep.
The cash value is growing. It's principal protected, so it's hedged against a flat market cycle. It has reasonable upside growth. Is it going to grow as much as the stock market? On the good years, not a chance. On the bad years, who knows? Because there are some protective components in there. But the reason why I like this is I'm controlling it. Any distribution is tax-free. And then I get to decide, and I have a written document, so it's not a trust, it's not a legal document, but it's like, here's how it's intended to be used. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, okay, I can take some of the funds out and have you have a go. You can't really do that with the 529 plan. If you got scholarships completely paid for, the 529 plan becomes slightly more useless.
Oh.
I say slightly. Things can evolve or change in different ways that you could structure the scholarship and maybe use the 529 plan. Maybe, and that's a whole thing unto itself. I just don't want to have a blanket statement there, but maybe they use the life insurance for just their sabbatical year and they do some world travel. I think if you can leave this country and see how the rest of the world lives, it is a very sobering experience
Yeah.
that not enough people get. And I'm not saying go to, you know, England and France and, you know, do your hoity-toity, like, you know, get some nice food, see some
Yeah.
West End productions, and then go to France and have these nice, you know, cuisine or what. I'm saying, like, go to the poor countries and serve and see how the world really works. That will sober you up.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can do that with the cash value because you decided to do so with the life insurance as opposed to a 529 plan. You could also do this with a trust as well. It's just easier for me from just that standpoint. Anything I say goes at that point. And then when they become a smarter enough adult, I can then gift them the policy. So you do have the cash value, the value of the policy. It is an event. So you have to fill out Form 709 and basically transfer the ownership of the policy. So it could exceed the gift tax limit, but you could transfer the policy owner to where they own it. And now guess what I've done? I've paid for their term life insurance, basically for life. So that's one less expense. The cash value can help them with their down payment of their house. It can help them with their retirement. It can help be their emergency fund. So if they're smart about it, they can keep the funds there for their rainy day fund, and it continues to grow and so on and so forth. So I like that because from an administrative standpoint, it's a little bit easier than the trust. The trust is a great option for certain situations. This is a bit more open as long as the kids develop healthy relationships with money and they don't just go blow it all and blow up the policy because that can be an issue.
Does the trust have non-qualified or qualified money in it? How do you
great
fund
question. Non-qualified.
it? Oh, okay.
Because remember, qualified money or retirement accounts are individual retirement accounts. They're for the person. So you're not really transferring assets over there.
Right.
People all the time, like, let's fund it with IRA money. You can do that. You're going to pay taxes on it. So we might, you can do beneficiary IRAs and say, well, I need to take it out anyway and then put it to different types of accounts, different places. That would be fine, but you're going to pay taxes on the money leaving a qualified account. Trusts and life insurance, those are after-tax funds, brokerage account, think your checking savings, and so on.
And the 529, does money go into a 529 after tax before? Okay,
After tax as well.
But then it can come out with no...
It's like an educational version of a Roth.
Oh, I see. Of a Roth.
Yeah, and so you want to think about it from you don't want to pay or help pay for someone's college that creates a tax issue if you were to sell it and then moved on. They're not a charity. They don't qualify as a 529 plan.
Yeah.
So instead of you disrupting your tax planning, you can defer part of the money over, not defer it from a legal standpoint, but you're moving money over to a 529 plan, let it grow tax-free, it pays out tax-free, maybe part of it turns into a Roth.
I see.
It's a path.
Yeah.
Now, each version is right for different people for different situations. That's why you have a conversation, you explore the benefits and detriments, and you proceed as it makes sense for you. So don't love or hate one of them because of what you already know. Ask questions like, what if, or what is it that I don't know that would change my opinion about a particular strategy? It doesn't mean you have to love that strategy. It means you understand it as it is. And then once you can clearly define what things are, then you can decide the right tool to use for your goals. That's all the time we've got for today's show. If you enjoyed it, consider telling a friend, leaving a rating, but make sure you subscribe to it, as the bigger that the YouTube channel gets, which is the best place to enjoy this content, or wherever you get your podcast, the bigger the channel gets, the better the resources are for us to then get to you. As always, don't forget to go to retireontime.com for additional resources, calculators, join one of our workshops, and so much more. That's retireontime.com. But from all of us here at the Kedrick Wealth Studios, we want to thank you for spending your time, your most precious asset, with us today. We'll see you in the next episode.